Still the Place with Laura Layton,
Courtney Thorne-Smith,
and Daphne Zuniga, an iHeartRadio podcast.
We have a very exciting Still the Place because we have Rob Estes, who's so raring to go that he didn't even wait to be introduced.
No. Well,
we're so excited
I'm ready.
to have you.
It does show that we've been talking for a few minutes
I'm
until
barreled up for 30
It's
years.
a nice cold open.
I know, right? Okay, save it.
I couldn't
save
stop them from chatting. It's all gone. Now we're just going to sit here and stare at each
Let's
other.
Yeah.
introduce him then,
Wow.
guys.
You remember him as Kyle McBride, seasons
After
5, 6, and 7 of Melrose Place. After playing another character in season
Yeah, that's
1.
right. I think
Yeah,
I'm one of
Sam.
the few people that have done two characters
Two
on
different
Melrose.
characters.
Yes.
That's
And did
so
they
cool.
ever
Come on.
address it?
No, they never did. They never did.
Well, they waited a while, right, between seasons. It was like
They-
season
yeah,
1
yeah,
to
yeah.
5. There was a good stretch
I
of
actually
time.
did a pilot for Aaron, and when it didn't get picked up, he said, "Hey, do you want to come do the?
That's so funny.
It's going to be on for 30, however many." And I was like, "Yeah, I like to come do that."
Yeah.
That's great.
And it was such a different show. Like I was struck because we watched you. We covered the first season, and then I just watched your first few episodes in season 5. The show was so different. Like,
I
you're like,
know.
what
Yeah.
happened to this
Yeah.
show?
Did you think you were going to be on the same show?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was
I mean,
that
I
for you?
think it was, I think Chuck and they took the temperature of what was working and what wasn't, and they realized that what they had wasn't, and by the time I got there, it had switched to full blown,
Well, I think they, because we were all there in the beginning. So I
Yes.
think it was working very well. Thank you very much.
I-
Starting with
the
season
ratings
3.
might disagree.
No,
I
season
agree-
3,
I'm
our
with
ratings
you,
were as
Rob.
high
I think
as
the
they've
ratings
ever
weren't
been.
there, right? And
It
then they
wasn't
shifted.
working
It was
well.
30 years ago. It doesn't matter. But
Yeah,
I'm
it
just
doesn't matter,
saying,
sure.
season 3
Yeah.
was the highest ever.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but season 1 wasn't working. So
Right.
they changed it,
Yes.
but
Oh,
yeah.
no.
That's what
Once
Rob
they
was
fixed
saying.
season 1 for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess, my role on it was nothing. I was an architect, and I think I went out with Jane.
You
You
kissed?
didn't
Yeah.
go out
We
with
just
Jane.
watched it.
You
You made a
hit
move on her.
Jane.
Oh, I hit up.
You
She's
were-
married to
Was she
Michael.
married?
Yes, and by the way,
You were Michael's
she was
best man
married,
or something.
and she did kiss you back.
I was Michael's best
But by
man.
the way,
Something like best
That's
friend, and then you
horrible.
came into town.
but
and,
Rob, you
Yes.
and
crossed a line.
You
That's
and Josie were in real life
Married.
newlyweds. You
Yeah.
had just gotten married.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
how
no,
we-
actually, we.
No. when-
Yeah, she got it.
Mhm.
She got Melrose, and we had our wedding on Sunday, and she started on Monday.
That
So
is
you're
right.
nuts.
You're right.
So, because this
Yeah.
was like episode 24 or 5, and so it was within the year. You were
Yeah.
still-
And it was interesting too. I mean, I kind of had a front row seat of watching what happened when you were on a Melrose show. That thing
And?
blew up,
Yeah.
right?
It did.
And I remember how
Very
much.
slow start, and then it blew up.
But Aaron had that. You guys did so much press in the beginning,
That's true.
right? I mean, you guys did like
Yeah.
2 days in the studio and all kinds of stuff. So when it rolled out, it was already huge news, and he kind of was a gorilla on Fox.
Yes.
So it just had traction right away.
Well,
Well,
no,
this is
not
what-
right away.
This
but
is
then,
what Courtney's talking about because she was on from day one. So there was a big launch, and then
Yeah.
everything fizzled out. The ratings weren't there.
Yeah.
The audience wasn't there. And then we did another big launch the beginning of season 2, basically.
And is that when Heather
So-
came on? Was she season 2 or
she was
later?
the
End of
end of
season
season one,
Yeah.
and she was going to
Yeah.
do 4 episodes.
Got it.
And then they realized that, these romances. And then it became just 3 storylines of people making out.
Get
and
in
it was
bed,
just
get
like
in bed,
everybody
get in
was
bed.
just
No,
making
switch
out.
beds, switch rooms.
Yeah, when we jumped up to season 5, I'm like, Jake is dating Allison, but Jane is upset about it,
Totally.
and he'd been with, I'm like, what happened?
It
But-
changes so much because our recap for Still the Place, we're recapping every episode in order. So
Yeah.
we're still working our way through season 1. We're trying to prevent ourselves from looking too
From
far
jumping ahead.
But because we're prepping to see you
yeah.
and your character comes in season 5, we saw some episodes. It was very jarring for us to go, wait, these storylines are
But
completely
Rob,
different.
when
It's
you
shock
came
value.
in as Sam, your first character that you probably don't even remember,
I don't, but
that
yes.
that was one of the few key moments that was right at the time where they were turning the show into the Melrose that we all know and love.
Yeah.
So you hitting on your best friend's wife,
Yes.
your real life wife,
Oh my
Josie.
God.
That was like a moment where it's starting to turn. We're noticing that like the end of season 1, things are bad behaviors and stuff like that.
It's
So
starting to hit.
you were really a
Yeah.
part of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad
Yeah.
that I was a part of the switch of the heart of the show.
So wait,
Sure.
when you came in as Kyle McBride in season 5,
Yeah.
did you? I'm assuming they just offered it to you. They said, "Here's this character we have in mind, and you're perfect for it."
I just left the show.
What show? What show?
Silk Stockings.
Oh, okay.
And then I had a deal with Stephen Cannell, and we were going to produce something, but he wanted me to move to Vancouver. And in the midnight hour, I said, I can't move. And he kind of went, what? Like, I said, I can't do that. So I ended up auditioning for a thing called Heart Attack and Vine, which was Aaron's show. It was with Adrian Brody, me, Heather Graham was a blind girl, this guy Leon, and the director of Rudy directed it. And it was horrible. It was great.
I mean,
The script was unbelievable. It was so good. But it just didn't work at the end of the day. And it's interesting because it was very it was kind of hard hitting for TV at that time. To have one of your leads be a blind girl and a snitch, and it's all in Hollywood, kind of
a blind
the underbelly
snitch?
of a blind. No, Adrian was blind, and his girlfriend was Heather Graham.
Okay.
I got confused.
And I
too.
think Aaron wasn't ready to let go of letting something be a little harder hitting. You know what I mean? And I just think ultimately it couldn't work itself out. But it was a great idea. So the day it got canceled, he called me and he said, "Yeah, they canceled it, but do you want to come and do Melrose?"
And did he say as a guest star or a couple, an arc?
No, he said,
or was it-
I'll give you 22.
Okay, so
I'll
full
guarantee
time.
22 episodes.
Great.
And then it just kind of went from there.
And your wife was on it, so
Totally.
you started going.
Yeah.
And this was also the time when season 5, the regular contracts of the original characters, those were winding down. And so I think they were doing a lot of new characters coming in with the intent that you would stay on and maybe take over if other contracts changed and whatever. And so, you were perfectly
Part of the new wave.
positioned
Yeah, I mean,
to roll in,
I was
and you stayed till the
thrilled.
end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I stayed till the end.
Were we nice to you?
You guys were awesome.
Oh, thank God. Can you imagine? No, it was awful.
Everybody but you was great.
Courtney, like the nicest person on set, being
was
horrible
wondering
to you.
if
I
you were
can't even imagine that.
I mean, that was one of the. Laura and I were talking for a second about that. I think that's one of the interesting things is that, at least from my experience, and I know we all have different experiences, but there weren't bad apples. Everybody got along, and not that there weren't issues. If you're going to spend 12 hours a day with people, there will
With
be
a
issues.
big ensemble.
But there totally. Well, and then, as some of the ensemble players left and new people came in, it still kind of held its own. Like he didn't seem to bring in bad apples. And then anybody who didn't work, it was a big enough cast that they kind of pretty quickly
Oh, that
went,
didn't work within the
within
ensemble of it. Or if he had any issues with anyone.
within the group, which was fun.
Yeah, that's one thing we learned with Chuck here was that we're basically all dispensable. If
Cogs.
we don't fit right in, and it's
We're all cogs in the wheel.
or cost too much.
Yeah.
That was his thing. If you cost too much,
Yeah.
then,
Well, that's
we'll bring
Well,
others in.
and how much, how many different things can happen to a character?
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you, do you remember a storyline, like your crazy storyline or something where you read it and you're like, oh, no.
No, but I remember my favorite storyline for me, and that was when I got, Kyle got hooked on drugs and alcohol and, ended up burning down Amanda's dream house. And that was fun, and I directed that episode.
Oh, that's
So
great.
it was great in terms of, because when you direct stuff, you're setting up camera angles and moves, and sometimes an actor will go, no, that doesn't work for me, right? And as a director, you're like, oh shit, so then I gotta switch this around and that around, so I could make.
You could consult with the actor, like, is it going to work for me? Yes, it is. Okay, I'll direct that.
So
You're the actor.
yeah, exactly right. I could have a conversation with myself and go, okay, that works. So I know I can make that move. I know that's my master. So that was fun.
I can't believe they let you do a stunt like that. That's amazing.
It was I was a stunt man. So
Oh, you were?
doesn't that sound?
Well, you don't just
Wow.
like drop that. Like,
Yeah.
Were you also a model, or were you an athlete?
No, I was
or-
never. I tried to be a model. I did it one day, and I horrible at it.
Okay.
So
There's
you're an
something about
ex-model stuntman. I like it. Now that's a series.
No, he wasn't.
Why
a
don't we
model.
have
He's
that
a fail
series?
model,
There it is.
successful stunt.
I'm writing it right now.
Yeah. But yeah, so I got to do a lot of my own fights and stuff.
In
like that. It
in
was
what?
fun.
Where were you stunt? Like what?
So
shows,
there's a guy, Hubie
movies?
Kearns, who was Batman's stunt double forever, right?
Oh,
And not
okay.
today's Batman, but yesterday's Batman. And he had a school. So when I was a senior in high school, my best friend, his dad was a stuntman. And, you know, we used to mess around and fight and play, and I just thought it was cool.
So you grew up here then? This
I
sounds
grew
like a Hollywood-ish.
Yeah, I moved to California when I was in 5th grade.
Okay. Okay.
So, you know, we went to stunt school and, you know, 4 days a week, fought, crashed cars, got set on
You
fire,
loved it?
fell
Did
off
you just
horses.
love
It was
it?
the best. But it's a tough life. It's
Yeah.
being a stuntman, unless you're, you know, now an X Games guy, unless you can do
Yeah.
things that nobody else can do, it's tough.
Did you
And with
get major
CGI,
injuries at all?
I
hurt?
popped my eardrum twice. And I think, you know, little cuts and bruises.
Because
but-
actors just hit you on the side of the head.
No, actually, we were doing
Explosions.
high falls, and part of being a stuntman is you're also on safety crews. So you set up these airbags, and the airbag. If you fall and hit the airbag and you fall off, you have people around it to protect you. And some guy landed weird, and he came up, and his heel came around and landed in my ear. And he was like, "Okay, I'm out, and I can't hear."
So did it just?
And then
fall
the other
in-
one I got punched.
Did someone
but-
then give you an opportunity to be in front of the camera, or what did you do in between the?
No, I
stunt?
never. I left. Like, you know, at some point, I think it was like I was out of high school. I was working at GTE, which used to exist, the phone company, the old phone
Oh
company,
my God! Yeah.
and doing stunts.
and when did you
One
start
of the nights
acting?
they're like, you know what? Sometimes they like you to, you know, do lines in front of the camera, you know? And I was like, do lines in front of the camera?
Yeah, like
What are we
I
doing
think you
drugs?
should rephrase
What are we
that.
doing?
Yeah,
What do you
there's
say?
another way to
Sometimes
say
Say
that.
lines.
Sometimes they want you to do, you know, say lines. How, you know, you do it's an end of a scene and then you fall or you get hit. And I was like, oh. So we worked on a scene and I just thought I was like, this is great.
Oh.
So
And that was the first time you ever thought of acting.
ever.
Wow.
And
that's
so, what was
amazing.
your
And
first
I went to school with Rob
acting?
Lowe, Sean was there, Emilio, Charlie Sheen. They
For
were all in my
what?
high school.
For
They were all
what?
from
Yeah.
Oh,
Malibu.
in high school. And so, what was your first acting?
I got my SAG card as a break dancer on a May Company commercial.
Wait,
Well,
what?
of course you did.
I was
Can we
dancing
find
at
that
a club,
anywhere?
And this lady comes up and she goes, "Can you come in and audition for a May Company commercial?" And I was like, "Okay." And I went in and auditioned and I got
It's
it.
in my private apartment.
Yeah.
So breakdancing. So you're
the casting
the
couch.
dancing stuntman.
So that's how I got my SAG card.
Uh-huh.
Then the day Michael Jackson's hair caught on fire.
On that same day.
I wasn't at the shrine, but they were doing Pepsi and Slice. Remember Slice?
Yes.
And
All
I was
these
on the
brands that don't
boardwalk. I
exist.
was, in Venice, breakdancing, and everybody started freaking out. And I was like, "What's happening? Oh, there's been an injury at the shrine." And they literally closed everything down. And I was like, "Okay."
Wow.
So
Wow.
anyway, but that was kind of how I got in, and then dancing took me to Days of Our Lives
Oh,
for
okay.
2 episodes, and then it was a year and a half. So I think that's kind of where I
A year and a
learned.
half on days.
On Days
Yeah.
of Our Lives. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And at
Wow.
that, we were just talking with Jack Wagner about what a great training ground
Totally.
a soap opera was, because you have to go so fast
Yeah.
and do so many episodes.
Yeah.
There's no way not.
Although I feel like, at least for me, I feel when you're learning lines that fast, it becomes about knowing the lines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like you kind of fall into these tricks of, okay, I got this.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
And then all of a sudden you're, I watched some scenes. Like I watched a little Melrose Place and I just, oh my God. I felt so stiff. And you look at it and you thought you were doing all these things.
Yeah.
You go, I wasn't.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, or I-
oh, yeah.
Right? I mean,
Oh.
have you ever done a scene and you go, oh my gosh,
Of
I
course.
knocked, that was great. And then you watch it and you go, that was just like all the other
What were you
15
doing?
scenes.
You know,
Yes.
too. And we do this. So it started, and I was the only one of us who was on it. And they were like, don't be so hard on yourself. Because, like, find a layer. Because I felt like every scene was, I made one choice and just had that one choice for the whole scene. And sometimes the whole episode, I had one choice for the whole episode. But we're seeing it evolve, but we were so young. Like, you
We
really have to
were.
kind of give ourselves a break and go, I
Totally.
don't even know how complicated I could have been. Like, maybe that
Yeah.
was how I moved through my life. Maybe I
yeah.
had the one note.
Well, and everything's so quick. I mean, you're spending
Yeah, so quick.
150 to 300 grand a day. Like you got to go.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a different.
Hit your mark and
Beast.
bark, baby.
What
Hit
else
your
is
mark
you
and
just-
bark.
But we don't know.
Moving
Like,
on.
we were nervous, right? You're learning.
Yeah.
You're trying to make a good choice.
Yeah.
You have to relax to let it sort of flow up and down. But
Yeah.
you'll see, like, if you watch later episodes, I promise you.
Oh, I'm sure.
You'll see yourself relax, and more layers will come
Yeah.
in, and you go, "Oh, that was actually interesting. That thing that happened there." At
Well,
first,
it's funny
because
because I look
so
at the three
earnest.
of you, and whenever I watch stuff, you guys all seem natural and in the flow, right? So I think part of, at least for me, is like, we're our worst critic.
Absolutely.
course.
We
And it's
can't
like
watch
you're-
ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like,
It's so
you
cringy.
used to crack my ass.
Oh,
Really?
boy.
You-
Well, we
How would Laura crack your ass up?
So-
Let's hear it.
So
We
we didn't
laughed a
have
lot.
many
We
scenes
did.
together.
at the
right?
beginning we had
Yeah,
some scenes
like,
together. Yeah.
But I would get the giggles.
So
and
badly.
I think you were the worst giggler on set.
It was bad.
Because you were so happy and in it
I
and
know.
there. And oh my God.
We also I was watching just because I watched these episodes where you come in, right? It was like this just flash in time about like, oh my God. But here was this weird situation. I'm good friends with Josie, who
Yeah.
is playing my sister, and she's married to you. And
Yeah.
here you come in, and then my character's supposed to like have this like I'm sort of like mooning over you, and like
Right.
you're out of my league, but whatever. So, and we were just goofing. We were friends, right? And then meanwhile, in real life, I'm dating Grant in real life, and Josie's got some obsession with Grant, who's now
Yes.
with Courtney, and like, but Allison
You mean
is
Jake and
right,
Allison?
and then
Oh my
Allison,
God.
and this is all in this one episode, in this one stretch of time that I'm watching. I'm like, oh my God, and then Allison's relationship with Billy is still sort of like tense because like they still have a thing for each other, and they dated in real life, and then I'm watching like Jack Wagner and Heather on screen, and they ultimately end up in a relationship.
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, no wonder people talk about this Melrose Place is like, didn't like this crazy must have happened.
But they were
right?
from the
Totally.
outside.
Right?
You were
But
from
I'm
the
like-
inside. It was
I'm
even
like, oh,
crazier.
yeah, I can see why people really thought, but like we all managed to come out of this crazy,
know.
like overlapping situation, like everything was fine.
I know, like, it was fiction, but was it?
Yeah.
Because it was so
But we
complicated.
did. It's like we started as friends, and when we had these storylines to play, and I remember we just goofed around
Totally.
until action. But
Yeah.
watching the episode, I'm watching. You're perfectly like poised and together, and you're just playing your character. I'm like, we were just laughing right before action, and I feel like I'm still sort of giggling through the scene.
So you remember that, Rob? You remember
Oh,
her?
yeah.
Oh,
all
we
of what
were
she's
just
talking
I
about?
messing
didn't remember the
around.
relationship in terms of what was written. I just remember you having so much fun. And I was doing a play at one point, and I had to have an Italian accent.
Oh,
And do you remember?
Oh, shoot.
I annoyed the shit out of the crew, and you were part of it. Sorry.
yeah, we.
Because I would, hey, Mangiavallo, hey, what are you doing? Hey, you, hey, come here. Oh,
Yeah,
and
that's
you in a perfect accent back, and I was like, oh my God. So I remember walking up. I remember walking up the stairs and walking the balcony and doing it down to you. And people must have been like,
Is this in between shots? Or
Yes.
It was
Oh.
like on set.
they're trying to
but-
set things up. And we're
That's
like,
amazing.
So I think I called you Bobo.
Yeah, Bobo.
And you're like Coco.
my-
and, we were like,
and there was the
and they're like, what
bougainvillea. It was just perfect.
That's hilarious.
so good.
I
All
remember
in
Josie going,
between.
you guys are so
Yeah.
weird. What are you doing?
Well, everybody. So many people were like, oh my
You
God.
guys are
stop
weird.
that.
And then it's like
Yeah.
rolling, and you're like, "Hi,
Yeah,
Sydney.
hi, we're
Yeah.
back.
Hi."
Now I'm Ubers.
Yeah, and my character was such a dweeb. I don't know. It's so funny.
Do you remember at like 2 a.m. at Kyle's place? And I don't know if it was us. I think it was us. But it's like things are running late, right? It's Saturday night. Everybody wants to go home. We're doing a scene. And we started laughing and couldn't do the dialogue.
Yeah.
And it went
Oh
on.
my God, I've
and
never
on.
had
It
that
was
on
like
Melrose
5,
Place.
10.
I don't remember doing
And
that.
people were so pissed. And it was that laugh where you get sweaty.
It was
For
bad.
me,
Yeah.
my face.
Panicking.
Yeah.
And every time I looked in your eyes, I would start laughing again.
That was a problem.
was-
And I guess, you know what? Now that you mention this, I think I am to blame for all of this because I have
gonna say,
I have
that's
the
a
same
common
problem with
thread.
Josie, right? Like Josie and
Josie
I
had
that-
that's
stopped
exactly what
production.
I was
I'm
thinking.
like, am I the common denominator? Am I the problem?
I think you were the problem.
I would
Well,
like
I
to
think
blame
it
you
shouldn't be a
and
problem,
Josie
but-
and
Yeah,
everybody
I think
else
you're the
that makes me
problem.
mad.
But it was a great problem. I mean,
It's
if you
me.
can go to work and have belly
Hi.
laughs like that,
Yeah, it's good.
2:30,
It's
3
like
in the
trying to
morning.
stop laughing in church when like
Totally.
something. It's so
Yeah.
yeah.
But also, it ran outside of you guys ruining everything by laughing through takes.
Yep.
It ran like a top. Like by the time we were in season 5, like they could tell you'll be here at this time,
Oh.
and you were on set within like 20 minutes, which is so rare. Like
Yep.
they ran it. They
Oh,
knew
yeah.
when
Yeah,
we'd
it's
get there, when
clockwork.
we'd leave, how long stuff would take. Yeah, that's really rare.
There's no
It was
room
Harry,
to,
right?
there was
Harry's
no
the
It
room.
was Harry, yeah.
Harry.
boy, he set
Harry
that
and
up.
his
Yeah.
minions, everybody was just.
Remember his fart machine?
Yes, that's right.
Oh my god!
Oh, those were the days.
You walk down the hall and you'd be like, "What was that?"
Yeah.
And it was him following people around with his fart machine.
Yeah, I remember that.
which I fully appreciated.
Yeah.
But I think you need that
Yes.
Right?
You have to.
because we're as lucky, we are to have had that.
Yep.
The luck to be in that was amazing, and you're working.
And especially with the storylines
Yeah.
that you're having to learn and then say and act out. And every time the camera's rolling, it's like all this serious, it's like all this serious like betrayals and stuff going on. You do
Yeah.
need that specifically on a show like that, I
Yeah.
think.
So do you feel like now, 35 years have passed, scary to say, but like what
35.
roles or what characters do you feel like people associate you with?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think Kyle McBride a lot. You mean specifically from the work that I've done?
Yeah, or just
from
like
Melrose?
what's been
Just
your
if you
experience?
recognize.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably
the
Chris Lorenzo a lot. I mean, I
Yeah,
did this
from Silk
show called Silk
Stockings.
Stockings,
Silk
which
Stockings,
was
yeah.
It was before cable TV existed, and when cable it wasn't. It was CBS had a cable channel early on, and they did this thing called Crime Time After Prime Time, and at some point it had a pretty big underground following, and Jeff Sagansky said, you know what, we should put this on primetime. And Aaron Spelling did. And they talked about it. And in the midnight hour, they backed out because they said, if a network TV does a deal with cable, it will look horrible. And then HBO shows up, like all these real cable shows show up, and it would have been a home run. And he didn't do it. But so long story short, Chris Lorenzo, I think for me,
And that was
Kyle
also like
McBride.
that was a 2-character lead show. So
Yeah,
you went
it was
from
a
Silk Stockings
detective
where
show.
yeah, just the two of you
Yeah.
to then a larger ensemble on Melrose.
Yeah.
Who was the co-star on
Mitzi Capture.
Oh.
She was great. We shot it in San Diego for no money.
And that wasn't that like a sexy thing? Sexy,
Yeah.
Very sexy,
where-
sexy.
It was
cool.
Crimes of Passion.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So
So crimes in lingerie a lot, right?
yes,
Yeah, crimes
I
in
wasn't in
lingerie.
lingerie a lot.
No.
Yeah,
If
just
they
sometimes.
remade that, I probably would have.
Exactly. Today,
Like,
it's a
oh,
different
he's
story.
the lingerie detective.
Hi, friends. Sophia Bush here, host of Work in Progress. This week, we had such a special guest on the podcast. My forever FLOTUS, a mentor, a friend, a wife, a mother, an author, attorney, advocate, television producer, and now she adds podcast host to the list herself. Friends, Michelle Obama is here.
Sophia, I'm beyond thrilled to be able to sit down and chat with you.
We talk about it all. Life, love, motherhood, martinis.
Vodka martini, dry, straight up olives.
Ooh, olives.
Very cold. Very,
My girl.
Barely any vermouth.
What's next, what she's watching on TV.
I am a White Lotuser. I am a Real Housewives person. I love the dating shows.
And tennis.
I just find
Wow.
that to be a bit meditative.
You do not want to miss this. Listen to Work in Progress on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The #1 hit true crime podcast, The Girlfriends, is back with something new, The Girlfriends Spotlight. Our first 2 series introduce you to an incredible gang of women who teamed up to fight injustice, showing just how powerful sisterly solidarity can be. We're keeping this mission alive with The Girlfriends Spotlight. Each week, a different woman sits down with me, Anna Sinfield, to share their incredible story of triumph over adversity. Like June, who founded an all-female rock band in the 1960s.
I might as well have said, we're going to walk on the moon.
But she sure showed them who's boss and toured the world.
They would just be gobsmacked, and they would rush up after the set and say, not bad for chicks.
So come and join our girl gang. Listen to The Girlfriend Spotlight on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you ever wondered if your pet is lying to you?
Why is my cat not here? And I go in and she's eating my lunch.
Or if hypnotism is real?
You will use the suggestion in order to enhance your cognitive control.
Or what's inside a black hole?
Black holes could be a consequence of the way that we understand the universe.
Well, we have answers for you in the new iHeart original podcast, Science Stuff. Join me, Jorge Cham, as we tackle questions you've always wanted to know the answer to about animals, space, our brains, and our bodies. Questions like, can you survive being cryogenically frozen?
This is experimental. This may never work for you.
What's a quantum computer?
It's not just a faster computer. It performs in a fundamentally different way.
And do you really have to wait 30 minutes after eating before you can go swimming?
It's not really a safety issue. It's more of a comfort issue.
We'll talk to experts, break it down, and give you easy-to-understand explanations to fascinating scientific questions. So give yourself permission to be a science geek and listen to Science Stuff on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Imagine you're scrolling through TikTok. You come across a video of a teenage girl and then a photo of the person suspected of killing her.
And I was like, what? Like, it was him? I was like, oh my God. It was shocking. It was very shocking.
I'm Jen Swan. I'm a journalist in Los Angeles, and I've spent the past few years investigating the story behind the viral posts and the extraordinary events that followed.
I started investing my time to get her justice.
They put out something on social media, so I'd get calls in the middle of the night all the time.
It's like, how do you think you're going to get away with something like this? Like, you killed somebody.
It's the story of how and why a group of teenagers turned to social media to help track down their friend's killer. This is their story. This is My Friend Daisy. Listen to My Friend Daisy on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
In 2020, a group of young women in a tidy suburb of New York City found themselves in an AI-fueled nightmare.
Someone was posting photos. It was just me naked. Well, not me, but me with someone else's body parts on my body parts that looked exactly like my own.
I wanted to throw up. I wanted to scream.
It happened in Levittown, New York.
But reporting the series took us through the darkest corners of the internet and to the front lines of a global battle against deepfake pornography.
This should be illegal, but what is this?
This is a story about a technology that's moving faster than the law and about vigilantes trying to stem the tide. I'm Margie Murphy.
And I'm Olivia Carville.
This is Levittown, a new podcast from iHeart Podcasts, Bloomberg, and Kaleidoscope.
Listen to Levittown on Bloomberg's Big Take podcast. Find it on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
So after year 5, when so many of the original cast members left, did 6 feel different, or did you notice anything?
I mean, honestly, no. It was...
Wow.
No, I didn't.
That's how much you missed us, Laura.
Yeah,
No,
not at all.
wasn't.
Honestly,
Did you leave
I
then
guess
too?
it felt
Did you leave
better.
then too?
After 5, yeah.
After 5.
Yeah.
Because you came on year 1.
As a guest, and then 2 as a regular.
Got it.
Let me rephrase my question. Did you notice when we left? I guess that's a real question.
I did.
Does it even matter to you?
Good to
Do
know.
you even remember?
She
that we
asked,
left?
I mean,
you ask everyone that. It's so funny.
I'm so
and
curious.
he's the only one's like,
Because
no, I
it's
didn't
one of
know
those
this.
things like, did the party go on after I left? Like,
Yeah,
listen,
it
we
did.
were gone.
And it was good, is what he's
Don't
saying.
you feel like with, especially with television, well, I guess both, but, you know, you're working long days. And when somebody leaves or you leave and you move on to another show, there's no time. Like,
To
I
process.
didn't really hang out with anybody after,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh,
Everybody
okay.
moved on to other shows,
Yeah.
you know, or I did,
Yeah.
in terms of focus going somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right? Because you left and you went to
Ally McBeal.
Yeah, and you guys must have had crazy days.
Longer hours.
Yeah.
And did you miss
longer
us,
hours.
Courtney?
Did you miss us? Is the
Yeah, did you miss us?
I'm not even sure who you guys are right now. I have no.
remember?
You look vaguely familiar.
What's
I
your-
feel
what's
like
your
you were
name?
on something in the
What's your
80s,
name?
maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And Laura, what did you go to after you went to?
I went to, I don't know, I bounced around for a bit and I got married after the show and sort of did a lot of parenting. Sort of that
Good
was
for
my
you.
vibe for a
Right.
while. And then Pretty Little Liars was my
Yeah.
a jump ahead.
And Kelly was on that too, right? Rutherford? Or
She
Pretty Little Liars?
was not.
No.
She was Gossip Girl.
No, she
No,
was
Sorry,
Gossip
yeah,
Girl.
she was
Got
Gossip
it.
Girl,
Sorry.
and Doug was doing Desperate Housewives
Yep.
and those in between. But and then you had like a series of movies and stuff that you've done too, like right? Haven't you had
Yeah,
like a
I mean,
recurring-
since I just did the After series. I got a movie that comes out on Prime tomorrow.
Yes, tell us.
Well, we're going to
Tell
talk
me
about that. So
Yeah.
that's
Tell
called.
us
Let me
about
just because I watched your teaser and I have a couple questions because it's called The Italians.
Yep, The
Yeah.
Italians.
So I saw the teaser and I recognize Michelle Danner, who I
Yes.
knew from Larry Moss's class
Yes.
when I was in Larry's class, and she was his assistant, and then took some classes, and then I think directing. And I see her that she's done a couple movies. So my
Yep.
question is, were you in a class that she cast from there?
So we
Or
did.
how did
when-
you get into
when-
it?
When Laura and I were on set doing The Italian, I was doing a play with her.
Oh, okay.
At the Hudson in Santa Monica.
Okay.
And Larry directed it with a lady, Deborah Levine.
Okay. What was that called?
It was Tennessee Williams, Rose Tattoo.
Oh, I remember
So,
it.
Yeah.
I remember
And so it
that,
ran
Rob.
for, I think, almost a year.
I remember that.
Did you do it
Yes.
for a year?
Did it for a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Melrose Place?
Yeah.
So you became
And
very
but
good
they were
friends.
so, I mean, they helped me
But
so much.
still, that's an
which I
extraordinary
love.
So you became good friends with Michelle then. You
Yeah.
did. You worked
Well,
with
there
her
was
for a year.
we did that. Then we did another movie with Jason Alexander, Ron Perlman, Kimberly Williams. What's the name of it, Rob?
This is the person we know. We can't remember stuff if it's any further
Yeah, it's
back
true.
than 10
This-
years.
yeah.
This is what.
How to Go Out on a Date in Queens is what it was.
Nice.
Which was a one-act play first. Yeah, she's directing big movies
lot.
now.
Yes.
She built it up. She's got another one, Under the Stars, with Andy Garcia and Toni Collette, that I'm in. That'll come out later this year.
Fantastic.
So she's doing it. She built it. Right?
So is there still a class going on? I know that Larry
She
kind of does
does-
workshops now in
Yeah, Larry
privates.
just does the workshops.
Yeah.
I think out of New York.
Mhm.
And
Is she does she have a class? She can't
She
do
has
all
a
of them.
class.
She does.
Yep,
Okay.
She has a class in Culver City.
Okay. So did she write this? And also Abigail Breslin's in it.
Yes.
From
She was great.
Sunshine,
Yep.
which doesn't. I'm
Yeah, it's
sure-
Abigail Breslin. It's Michelle. It's Matt Daddario, who's great. He's so good in this. I was like, wow. Michelle, Lainey
Was he
Kazan.
from class?
Oh, fun.
Did
No,
she
I don't
cast
know.
from
No,
her
he
class?
came there and auditioned.
Okay.
And he was great. I mean, he was
Okay.
perfect for
Oh,
it.
good.
And Lainey Kazan is just, she steals it.
Wow.
She's
Yeah,
so good.
I remember her from back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember her in that circle of friends. But so where did you shoot it, and what is it about?
So we shot it actually during the strike
Okay.
in LA. So
Wow.
we got a
Wait,
waiver.
you weren't supposed
which
to be
was
shooting
so
during
hard
the strike.
to get.
You
Say it
weren't
again?
Was it not SAG?
Yeah, it was SAG. But SAG gave out a number of
vouchers.
waivers if your contract agreed with everything they wanted from the producers.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
So it's kind of the reshaping of what we're all agreeing to now when we do work.
I remember that.
And, the waivers were kind of the front end of that.
Okay.
So we shot it here. And it's a family comedy.
It looked fun.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
And
you had to do
it's
Italian
about
again.
an Italian family. It's
Your
about
accent.
a kid bringing his girlfriend home to meet his mother, and the mother hates her. And it's just, you're like, oh my gosh. And you just see yourself in it, and it's based around really good food.
Yeah.
So,
Did you eat a
Michelle,
lot? Is there a lot of
oh my
set
God.
food?
Well, it's funny because, I'm this pig in it, and I don't ever stop eating. And before we shot it, I lost like 15 pounds because I wanted to be that skinny guy
That can eat anything?
that can eat anything and
Yeah.
never gains weight.
You wanted to
and
be
falls
that.
in
Really?
love with the woman who can cook. That's
Yes.
the relationship.
Oh, nice.
So it was funny. And he's kind of, he's a
Did
little...
they shoot in order so you could gain weight along with the story? Oh, man.
Yeah, I didn't gain it back. Well, I guess I did gain it back. But it was fun. We had a really good time doing it.
And was it like a few weeks shoot or?
We did it in 26 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which seems to be everything now. Even the other one, Under the Stars, we shot in Rome and in Puglia. And we shot that in about, I think, 32 days.
Wow.
That's just now.
Yeah.
Get 2 or 3 cameras.
Well, I was talking to somebody on the last thing I did, and I was like, it feels dark in here. And he said, we can adjust all that later. Like, we can adjust that digitally. Remember, lighting had to be perfect. He goes, you used to be able to adjust a tiny bit. Now you can adjust so much, so they can go so much faster. Aren't you surprised? Like, you go to sit down, like, ready. Oh, go to sit down, ready.
Good enough.
Yeah.
It's like doing TV.
Totally.
Yeah, it's back again.
It's quick.
These cameras,
I like
the
it, though.
digital
Do you like
sucks in
working
a lot
fast?
more light.
Yeah, now I do.
Yeah,
I don't
me
think
too.
I did back in the day because I always wanted another take. I was like, I can do that better. That young, I know I can do this better. And then you do it 4 more times and it's exactly the same. And you can tell because the producers.
I do remember that.
The producers start giving the directors, let him do one more.
And then that's it.
Yeah. And you're like, but then you start to trust yourself. And it's when you start to trust yourself that you get better. It's so like a,
And also,
oxymoron.
you're reminding me, because I directed a film for Lifetime, and I remember I had this great actor, and he felt that he never got to it, because when we were running it and rehearsing it, it was so poignant and so lovely, and he felt like he never got there. And I recognized that horrible feeling.
Yes.
Because you're ready to move on. But the crew is, the producer is like, let's go, Daphne. But he got something lovely, more subtle. And I was I could see from this side that it was going to work probably better because that sweet spot of the drama, he didn't get it in, but the subtlety was going to work with the mood and the script that he couldn't feel it. So I was like, please trust me. This is working actually better. So
that's a good director. I love that.
Because I could feel I totally felt for him as an actor. I totally know where you are. If I ever act again, I'm going to be like, okay, I got to trust this guy.
Well, that's what's nice about being directed by actors.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So, do you still direct?
No, I haven't. I did. No.
No. Would you like to?
Yeah, maybe at some point. At some point.
Yeah.
I teach acting down in Orange County.
Oh, you
with
do?
Like young, like high school.
How is that?
And up to college. So that's fun. To do it and work with these kids there's so much talent right now. It's unbelievable.
What do you mean?
It feels different?
It does feel different. So many
why.
kids can sing and dance and act.
Oh,
right?
really?
And I see it on TV. You'll watch shows and somebody will break into song and you'll be like, right?
Well, I think
You
there's
sing
so
too,
many.
right?
I wouldn't call it that anymore.
Can you give us something?
No,
You
I'm not
play
going
piano.
to.
Probably sing.
There was a day when I could do all those things, but it's a muscle.
sure
If
you
you don't
can.
exercise it, it atrophies.
Why do you think
but
that is?
I think that just young people have so many ways to
Create.
put their
Totally.
craft out there,
Yeah.
and so I think that's that's just a different world. We didn't
Yeah.
have that. We had to
Although it's
audition. We had to be
interesting.
discovered. We had to be
Yeah.
found. But they can put
Oh my God,
themselves
totally.
right out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very different time in that.
Yeah.
But I watch it's interesting to watch people with TikTok or YouTube, or I'll have a conversation with somebody who's learning how to act, or it's the beginning, and they're like, "Well, I'm thinking about my brand." And I'm like, "You're thinking about your brand?"
Yeah.
See,
Like,
I think that would inhibit creativity.
what are you thinking about your
Absolutely.
brand? Well, I think I want it to be like this. And I'm like, why don't you lay the foundation first and see where you are, when you get really good at your craft. And I'm not saying it like that, but it's just interesting how I think being able to send it out there, and I've seen a lot of them send stuff out there that they would never get work from, and it's already out there.
Larry Moss would ream
Oh my
kid
God.
and kick him out
I
and
love
say,
it.
get the out of my
Yep,
class.
totally.
And when you're ready to be an actor and open your soul up and get vulnerable, then I'll have to think about it.
Totally.
He would just tell
You'd be the guy now that would all the cell phones go in that bin
Yeah,
right
absolutely.
there. In there,
So what do you say as an acting teacher with these kids?
Well, the kids or the young adults that I work with, I get to choose to work with, kind of. So there are some kids that come in and could be great, very talented, but they won't let go of the phone. They won't let go of the end result, and that's difficult. So
and they
you go,
have an
okay.
awareness of how they look all the time, probably. Like we didn't have this, so I never. Yeah. You never saw what you looked like. You just did it. You had to trust the hair people, the camera people. You never saw it till it was on the air.
Yeah.
Like even before Video Village.
But also,
you know what I mean?
we didn't like. I never watched myself because I knew it would inhibit me. So I never watched myself. These kids are growing up with their image all the time. We didn't have that. Like it was always. I remember when you first heard your voice on an answering machine or something. It was horrifying. Like these kids. Grow up with that. Remember that? It was so rare for us to hear our own voices.
I'm going to record this message 12 times until
so
it sounds right.
So how do you work with them and how do you get them to be less self-conscious if they're seeing themselves all the time? I think that would have been impossible for me.
Yeah, I think some of them, a lot, any of them, it's really about intention. What do you want, right? So it's not. I'm not thinking about me. I'm thinking about I need to make you X. So that I can have this, and here's what it's costing me, and
I have to try it in different ways.
Totally,
try it's not working to flirt with you. It's not,
But if they have in the back of their mind, what I want over all of this is to protect my brand, this idea of myself. You can get them through that. You're able to get them through that.
No, not all of them.
Oh,
I don't think so. I think there's that message right now. And there's a generation of kids who believe the message of, okay, I'm going to do it my way. This is right. I know this is right, even when it's not. In the face of being sure, I think you lose opportunities of discovery.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it so funny? Like we knew each other so many years ago, and here we are. Who would have thought that we'd all be able to come back together and talk about this from where we sit now? Like, well, the generation
Well,
now, like we're actually we're those people, you guys. We're the old people.
Hi, friends. Sophia Bush here, host of Work in Progress. This week, we had such a special guest on the podcast. My forever FLOTUS, a mentor, a friend, a wife, a mother, an author, attorney, advocate, television producer, and now she adds podcast host to the list herself. Friends, Michelle Obama is here.
Sophia, I'm beyond thrilled to be able to sit down and chat with you.
We talk about it all. Life, love, motherhood, martinis.
Vodka martini, dry, straight up olives.
Ooh, olives.
Very cold.
My girl.
Barely any vermouth.
What's next? What she's watching on TV.
I am a White Lotuser. I am a Real Housewives person. I love the dating shows.
And tennis.
I just find that to be a bit meditative.
You do not want to miss this. Listen to Work in Progress on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The #1 hit true crime podcast, The Girlfriends, is back with something new, The Girlfriends Spotlight. Our first 2 series introduce you to an incredible gang of women who teamed up to fight injustice, showing just how powerful sisterly solidarity can be. And we're keeping this mission alive with The Girlfriends Spotlight. Each week, a different woman sits down with me, Anna Sinfield, to share their incredible story of triumph over adversity. Like Tracy, who survived a terrifying attack.
I remembered that feeling of, okay, this is how I die.
And turned that darkness into the most incredible journey.
I want to take over the world and just leave this place better than I found it.
Which took her all the way to Paris for the Paralympic Games.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
So come and join our girl gang. Listen to The Girlfriend Spotlight on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you ever wondered if your pet is lying to you?
Why is my cat not here? And I go in and she's eating my lunch.
Or if hypnotism is real?
You will use the suggestion in order to enhance your cognitive control.
Or what's inside a black hole?
Black holes could be a consequence of the way that we understand the universe.
Well, we have answers for you in the new iHeart original podcast, Science Stuff. Join me, Jorge Cham, as we tackle questions you've always wanted to know the answer to about animals, space, our brains, and our bodies. Questions like, can you survive being cryogenically frozen?
This is experimental. This may never work for you.
What's a quantum computer?
It's not just a faster computer. It performs in a fundamentally different way.
Do you really have to wait 30 minutes after eating before you can go swimming?
It's not really a safety issue. It's more of a comfort issue.
We'll talk to experts, break it down, and give you easy-to-understand explanations to fascinating scientific questions. So give yourself permission to be a science geek and listen to Science Stuff on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Imagine you're scrolling through TikTok. You come across a video of a teenage girl and then a photo of the person suspected of killing her.
And I was like, what? Like, it was him? I was like, oh my God. It was shocking. It was very shocking.
I'm Jen Swan. I'm a journalist in Los Angeles, and I've spent the past few years investigating the story behind the viral posts and the extraordinary events that followed.
I started investing my time to get her justice.
They put out something on social media, so I'd get calls in the middle of the night all the time.
It's like, how do you think you're going to get away with something like this? Like, you killed somebody.
It's the story of how and why a group of teenagers turned to social media to help track down their friend's killer. This is their story. This is my friend Daisy. Listen to My Friend Daisy on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
In 2020, a group of young women in a tidy suburb of New York City found themselves in an AI-fueled nightmare.
Someone was posting photos. It was just me naked. Well, not me, but me with someone else's body parts on my body parts that looked exactly like my own.
I wanted to throw up. I wanted to scream.
It happened in Levittown, New York.
But reporting this series took us through the darkest corners of the internet and to the front lines of a global battle against deepfake pornography.
This should be illegal, but what is this?
This is a story about a technology that's moving faster than the law and about vigilantes trying to stem the tide. I'm Margie Murphy.
And I'm Olivia Carville.
This is Levittown, a new podcast from iHeart Podcasts, Bloomberg, and Kaleidoscope.
Listen to Levittown on Bloomberg's Big Take podcast. Find it on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And so where can we find your movie? Tell us.
So you can find The Italians on Amazon Prime starting April 11th.
That is fantastic. I can't wait to watch it.
It'll be fun.
I want to hear your
Let me
Italian
know.
accent again. I'm going to see you on screen.
Hey, oh my gosh.
And then
you'll know that you were part of the inspiration.
I love it. And then you have another one coming after that you have a part in with Toni Collette and...
So Under the Stars will be out later this year. So they don't have a release date yet, but it's a
Toni
great.
Collette,
and
how exciting.
Andy Garcia.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Wow.
He's
Yeah,
amazing.
great.
Are you kidding me?
Well, he and Toni Collette were great together. They were great. And he was such a pro. Like, he just wanted the best for the film across the board.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Would you say that Melrose Place was a good what do you call it? Like starting ground? Not that it was your beginning at all, because you'd done other stuff but for all this wonderful work that you're doing now and wonderful acting and teaching and would you say
I think
Melrose Place added to you? And
I think Melrose Place was a great training ground. And I actually think better than as a soap opera, And I know it didn't start out as a soap opera,
right.
Kind of
got there.
yeah, kind of got there.
Yeah.
But I think it's different because it's slower. There's more time to let yourself breathe a little bit. Mm-hmm. And on soaps, it's, as Jack Wagner says, it's just go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And I can see him liking that, right? I think that fits his personality more.
Yeah.
Or both, but I can see him excelling.
Well, he also got to sing. Do you remember? Because we started talking, remember All I Need?
Yeah.
Remember? That was his song.
That was his song.
That was his song. And all of a sudden he said that and I could see him. I was like, I was in high school again. I was like, oh my God, you're totally singing All I Need.
Did you have a crush? Was it that kind
I
of a thing?
remembered, it was literally like I went down in a mirror and there I was in that time going, oh my God, it's that guy. I'd never pieced it together until that moment.
Yeah, he was big. He was a big thing.
Well,
big.
the best thing about Melrose for us is that we've got this wonderful group of friends that we can come back a million years later and do this fun little podcast called Still the Place. And we get to have you in and we get to have everybody in. And it's always so fun to have our friends back.
Thank you.
Ladies, so
Be able
much.
to give you a hug in person.
So good to see you.
It's great to see you.
It's so fun.
And the memories.
So everyone check out The Italians on Amazon Prime.
We'll be watching. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Yay,
Thanks for having
so
me.
good to see you. Thank you, Rob.
Are your money skills total trash? Well, trust me, you are not alone. Personal finance ignorance is as American as apple pie, but you can improve.
Think, Matt, if your emergency fund was invested, especially given the volatility we're experiencing right now. Ouchies.
Investing, it is ultimately a necessity, but you got to keep that emergency fund accessible. It needs to be cash parked in your savings.
It's time to learn, and How to Money is here to bring the knowledge. Listen to How to Money on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, I'm Jay Shetty. This episode, Lizzo opens up like never before about self-love, transformation, and finding real peace in a world that constantly tries to define you.
It's not me anymore. Whoever Lizzo is to the world is not really even me, and that disconnect is depressing.
The Grammy goes to Lizzo!
Listen to On Purpose with Jay Shetty on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The number one hit podcast, The Girlfriends, is back with something new. The Girlfriends Spotlight. Each week, you'll hear women triumph over adversity. You'll meet Tracy, who survived a terrifying attack.
I remember that feeling of, okay, this is how I die.
And turn that darkness into light.
I want to take over the world and just leave this place better than I found it.
So come and join our girl gang. Listen to The Girlfriends Spotlight on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you ever wondered if your pet is lying to you?
Why is my cat not here? And I go in and she's eating my lunch.
Or if hypnotism is real?
You will use the suggestion in order to enhance your cognitive control.
Or what's inside a black hole?
Black holes could be a consequence of the way that we understand the universe.
Well, we have answers for you in the new iHeart original podcast, Science Stuff. Join me, Jorge Cham, as we answer questions about animals, space, our brains, and our bodies. So give yourself permission to be a science geek and listen to Science Stuff on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What's up, y'all? I'm AJ Andrews, pro softball player, sports analyst, and the first woman to win a Rawlings Gold Glove. On my new podcast, Dropping Diamonds, we dive headfirst into the world of softball by sharing powerful stories, insights, and conversations that inspire and empower. It's time to drop bombs and diamonds. Dropping Diamonds with AJ Andrews is an iHeart Women's Sports production in partnership with Athletes Unlimited Softball League and Deep Blue Sports and Entertainment. Listen to Dropping Diamonds with AJ Andrews on the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Brought to you by Novartis, founding partner of iHeart Women's Sports Network.